Good day. It's Thirsty Thursday with the Bells. And as you can see, I'm by myself this morning, just me, Leon Bell. I want to say good day. Thank you for joining in with me on today. Today, I'm going to talk about being faithful to your assignment. And not having fear. Not allowing fear to come in to keep you from fulfilling your call, your purpose, and what God has destined you to do. I'm going to look at Moses. Moses in Exodus chapter 4, verse 1. It said, "And Moses answered and said, Behold, they would not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, for they would say, The Lord hath appeared unto thee." And we look at down at verse 10, it says, "And Moses said unto the Lord, O Lord, I am not eloquent, neither hereto, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of slow of tongue." Many times when we are given an assignment that seems greater than us or seems to be too much for us to do, we allow fear to keep us from doing what God called us to do. We make up excuses of why we can't do it, why we're not worthy to do it. We begin to point out all of our flaws that will hinder us from fulfilling what God has called us or assigned us to do. But I want to encourage you today to know that if God has called you, He also has equipped you. There's a cliche that says God does not call the qualified, but He qualifies the call. Just know that whatever God has called you to do, you are more than qualified, equipped to accomplish and complete the task at hand, as long as you keep God first and you remain humble. God has put a great deposit into each one of us, and He's going to protect this deposit, His investment in us, as long as we walk out His will for our life. Just as when you put money into the bank. When you put money into that bank, you're going to expect to be able to go to that bank and withdraw whatever you put in. If you go there and they don't have what you've put in, it's going to be a problem. And God's the same way with us. He has deposited His Spirit in us. He expects us to sit down and read His Word and allow the Holy Spirit to minister to us through His Word. And then when we call to an assignment, He expects what He's put into us to come out then. And if it doesn't, then because we've allowed something to come in to hinder us from fulfilling God's plan for our life. Many people are waiting on you. Many people are waiting on you. If you look at Moses, let's go back before we go there. In this text, in this same book of Exodus, when God spoke to Moses about going to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt, I want to read this verse, chapter 4, in verse 21. It says, "And the Lord said unto Moses, When thou goest in to return to Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand." Listen to this. "But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let his people go." That he shall not let the people go. Now, when I first read, and I heard this story several times, and it didn't really hit me until earlier this year, and I was reading this same story, and it was when we did the Bible challenge, and I was reading Exodus, and I said, well, why would God tell Moses to go to Pharaoh to get the people, and then in the very next sentence He says, "But I will harden his heart, and he will not let the people go"? So it's like, well, why even go through the trouble if you know from the beginning, God, I'm not going to be successful. I'm not going to do it. There are many things that God has called you to do that you feel are impossible, or that it even looks impossible. And God may even say to you that it won't be successful the first time. But if you continue reading the story, each time God says, "Moses, go do this, but I will harden his heart, and they will not let the people go." We have to be faithful to the assignment, to what God has called us to do, even when it seems impossible. I know it's hard to do. I know it's hard to put in our mind that we have to be faithful to God when the task that He's given us to do seems impossible, or He Himself has said it will not work this time. But we have to learn to be faithful to the process, because there's a process and there's a method to what God is doing. We have to be faithful to the process and obedient to the voice of God. I think that is important, people of God, that we begin to be obedient to the voice of God, even when it seems impossible. Because sometimes we can get so discouraged in how bigger things look, or how challenging an assignment can be. But if we're just simply obedient to the call, obedient to the assignment, God will provide. I promise you, God will provide. And we look in the text, and over and over, God says, but I will harden his heart. But I will harden his heart. But when he finally let the people go, when Pharaoh finally let the people go, when they finally came out, they came out with everything that the Egyptians had. They came out with their stuff. They came out with their belongings. And look at this. God called one man. He called Moses. Moses thought he couldn't do it. He wasn't eloquent enough. They wouldn't listen to him. He said, okay, who gave you that mouth? Who gave you this mouth? But if you don't feel like you can do it, get your brother Aaron. I'll send him with you. Since you don't feel like I have equipped you to do what I called you to do, get your brother Aaron, and he'll go with you. So what I'm saying to you is this. Don't get caught up on what you can't do. God has called you to do a great work. He wants you to complete it because he knows that he has equipped you to complete the assignment. If it was within your own power, within your own might, then you can easily become very prideful and lose complete focus of what God wants to do. And it becomes what you want to do. So I encourage you, don't sit back and make excuses for what God has called you to do. If you know, if it seems bigger than you, if it seems like you can't do it in your own might, in your own strength, that's how you know it's from God. And he's going to give you what you need to fulfill your assignment. But I want to say this. God called one man, Moses. Then when Moses made these excuses why he couldn't do it, and fear came in, and all this other stuff came in, he said, okay, take your brother Aaron. But listen to this, people of God. If you look at Exodus chapter 12, verse 37, because of the obedience of one man, 600,000 men came out, followed. When the Exodus began, 600,000 men. Let's look at it. Exodus chapter 12, verse 37. And the children of Israel journeyed from Rameses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men besides children. Listen, because of one man's obedience, a whole entire nation was freed. 600,000 men. That does not include children. Let's do the math. If we do 600,000 men, let's just say that half of them were married. Half of them were married. That took our number to 900,000. And assuming that of that 900,000, each one of them had at least one child, which we know in the Bible days, they had multiple children. So we're going to assume that each one had one child. That makes 300,000 plus one child. That takes our number to about 1,200,000. That's on the low scale. 1 million people estimated. Because the Bible only tells us about the men. But we're going to estimate each half of them were married and each had at least one child. That puts us over 1 million people freed. 1 million people delivered because of the obedience of one man. People of God, how many people are waiting on you to simply be obedient? How many people are waiting on you for their deliverance? How many people are waiting for you to simply submit to the will of God and follow out the assignment that God has given you? An entire nation of people, over 1 million people, were delivered, were freed because of one man's obedience, one man's submission to the will of God for his life, one man walking out his purpose. God has called you for a purpose. You are here for a purpose. You are here to fulfill a divine assignment from God. How long was the people wait for you to submit to the will of God? How many people are waiting on you? How many times must God give you the same instructions before you finally submit to his will and obey? If you don't respond to your God's call and obey to his will, how will you answer that before him? If fear is the one thing that's holding you back from what God has called you to do, if you're saying that I'm afraid, I don't know what's going to happen, if you allow fear to come in, the question I have for you, where is your faith? Because fear is the opposite of faith. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So people of God, there's a nation, there's an entire generation that's waiting on you to submit to the will of God for your life. That's waiting on you to fulfill the purpose that God has destined you to fulfill. Don't keep them waiting. There's an entire nation that's waiting on you. With that being said, I'm going to wrap it up right about now. My time is up. I've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. We look forward to hearing from you. Inbox us, comment. My wife should be with us next week. We love you. Bless you. To God be the glory. I pray God's blessings upon your life. That He opened His doors no man can shut it. Even shut some doors that we've allowed to open. To God be the glory. Thank you.